All right, real quick, it's yours truly, Mr. Taliaferro. Before the video starts, it would mean the world to me if you follow me on Twitter, Instagram. That's how my business grows. It's Mr. Taliaferro on your screen right now. When you follow and subscribe to me, you become one of the Pharaohs. That's how I talk business, and that's how you support a young hustler out here getting it. All right, Mr. Taliaferro TV, how's everybody doing? I'm gonna be honest. Let's go a different direction with this video. I want to do this differently. This one is going to get very serious very quickly, and I want to set this video up properly. Do you guys remember when Chris Brown was releasing his project a few months ago and he was doing interviews? Well, I believe Chris Brown was like an hour or so late to the Breakfast Club and they canceled the interview. Well, I think Chris Brown intentionally missed the interview. I told y'all that then. And I also believe it's centered around the fact he was afraid, or somebody had got word to him that Charlamagne was going to ask him a question about cocaine. I told y'all that then. If y'all want to go check, in fact, check me on my content. Charlamagne then went on the air the next day to say, I'm sick of people lying to Chris Brown, or not telling him the truth, rather. Everyone in the industry believes he's on cocaine or knows something is wrong with him, the way his eyes are, the way his facial structure is, how he's just looking overall, right? I wish you guys in the industry would stop talking behind this man's back and tell him the truth so he can get help. That was then. The beauty of my platform is that for the time being, it doesn't have any industry ties. Sometimes that's to my detriment. A lot of times it's a positive. The reason why it's to my detriment is my platform cannot, like when I need that breaking story, I don't have the connections to get a Meek Mill on the line, right? I could get a source that's close to the situation on the line possibly, or reach out to him. I ain't got the pull to get a Meek Mill or a Chris Brown on the line yet. But here's the positive in that. I don't have the pull to get a Meek Mill or Chris Brown on the line, nor do I need to figure out the correct story. I said that to say Chris Brown is one of the greatest talents we've ever seen, period. I was sitting around watching him in the Joyner Lucas video, and I was thinking about the Lil Dicky video that Chris Brown recently did, and both of these videos are phenomenal, and it just made me think about how talented this man Chris Brown is. I also got to thinking about how radio stations love to have Chris Brown perform at their shows, right? Chris Brown is someone who, if you make the call, unless he has something else, a prior engagement, he's coming to do your show. And that name is such a big name, he can headline. As a matter of fact, I think he's headlined Summer Jam the last couple years. He's been one of the headlining acts. He just did their Christmas show as well, right? I think he's been on Power Stage a couple times for their big Powerhouse show. He's in big shows in Atlanta, in DC, everywhere, Texas. Chris Brown is everywhere, the West Coast. All these stations need Chris Brown because he's always available. He does great business when he's in the right headspace, right? Well, there's a industry tie to that. There's a political tie to that. These stations and news outlets benefit off Chris Brown being available to perform. They need Chris Brown. So sometimes I feel as if though they hide from the truth with Chris Brown. I'm pretty sure if y'all put Charlamagne, y'all backed him in a corner and asked him about it, he'd tell you guys straight up and down, Chris Brown is somebody that he personally would like to call out more, but I'm pretty sure his program director's like, yo, I need you to chill out. Talking about this guy, you're hurting the business. These radio stations have industry ties, and they don't go in on Chris Brown, even though they might know the truth or got a good idea of what the truth is in this man and his situation. There was a picture that came out a few weeks ago, and quickly that narrative was covered up, and it was Chris Brown. TMZ released it, and his hand was around a young lady's neck. Every news outlet, hell, I believe even me, I was like, yo, let's give Chris Brown the benefit of the doubt. It looks like it was a cool moment. It looks like they were having fun, and Chris Brown was playing with a chick. He had her hand around her neck. Nobody else looked to be like caught off guard by it. It looked like it was a fun moment. But I always thought it was crazy how all these news outlets jumped out of the gun saying, oh, that's a joke. Chris Brown would never. What do you mean he would never? We have evidence that proves Chris Brown would. He's admitted stuff that he's done. Let's go back a few years. Rihanna, one of the biggest artists in the world. She admit that she put her hands on Breezy, but Breezy's response was quite brutal from the pictures I seen. Oh, that's not enough for you? Karuchi, go read some of read some of the case information and when she was trying to get a restraining order on Chris Brown. Some of that information is eye-opening about why she needed to get away from Chris Brown because of the domestic stuff. Right? We have a track record of Chris Brown being irresponsible. And all you people out there that don't want to call it what it is with this drug usage, I've been around it too long. And I'm not saying that I've never done cocaine, but I've seen it. Come on now. I know a fiend when I see one. That dude is on cocaine. And anybody that doesn't believe that, at some point he was on cocaine. Chris Brown turned 29 the other day, 29, 30, something like that the other day. He looks 47, 48. And he's still one of the best talents in the world. That's the craziest thing. Listen to him talk. He's slowed down dramatically when he talks. It's a lot of slurs, right? Listen to him, man. The craziest thing in the world is that the talent is still there. Somehow, this dude is still one of the best talents in the world. I compare it to watching a Michael Jackson and Prince. I believe in my heart of hearts, if Michael Jackson and Prince had social media around when they were in their 20s and 30s, like it is right now, we would see some similar stuff. Chris Brown he comes from that lineage of talent, once in a lifetime talents. And I think some of the behavior that led to Michael's early demise and Prince's early demise, I know people don't want to hear this, could very well be what's going on with Chris Brown right now. And I'm sorry that I didn't come on here saying Chris Brown ain't doing Chris Brown. No, this shit seems very detailed. All right. So for those who don't like when I go on my long spills, you can timestamp it right now and tell people this is the point that you want to jump to for this video where the facts come into the case. There is a woman who will remain nameless. As a matter of fact, we'll just call her Jane Doe. She is now suing Chris Brown. And the details that I'm about to read are very, very, very specific, all right? She claims at a Chris Brown party back in February of 2017, where there was a lot of cocaine, a lot of Molly, and a lot of weed, she claims that Chris Brown took her phone. That's something that happens at Chris Brown parties. I think he admitted this. There is no phone usage at these parties. All right? They took their phone at the beginning of the party because Chris Brown enforces a no phone policy. At that point, Chris Brown told the chick that she was going to get her phone. I guess they were ready to go. I don't know. Right? Chris forced this woman, Jane Doe, and a few other women into a bedroom. At that point, this woman is claiming that Chris Brown and another man, Lowell Grissom, blocked the door with a couch. Okay? As this woman tried to leave, Jane Doe was trying to leave because I guess apparently she didn't want to be with Chris. Chris had a female friend in the room who grabbed this chick by the throat and forced her to perform oral sex on the guy, Chris Brown's friend, whose name is, again, Lowell Grissom. We'll just call him Low. This Jane Doe female says the same female friend of Chris's then pushed her down on the bed, and then the chick wanted some head, and she sat on Jane Doe's face, using her legs to pin her down while forcing her to perform oral sex on her. The craziest thing about this was the girl was on a period, so Jane Doe, when she got up from being pinned down, giving head, she saw blood all over her face. And while she was showering, Chris Brown's male friend, again, we're calling him Low, he pushed her on the bed and raped her. Then after that, the chick is still there. I don't know why she's still there. I guess maybe held against her will. She claims that this same friend Lo held her against a washing machine and raped her again. And she later went to a rape treatment center. But there is, I'm being told by the LAPD, or this is through TMZ, after investigating the woman's report, there is no way to tell if the sex was consensual or forced. This was all in a home owned by Chris Brown. And Chris Brown, again, was one of the people who locked the door and put a couch in front of the door so the woman would not leave. I will say this quickly and I will get the hell out of this story because I even get frustrated reading it. Is there a chance that some of this information is not true? Yes. But does Chris Brown have the track record to help his case in any way? No, he does not. You know, I always go by this saying, if it looks like a duck, if it quack like a duck, I'd be a fool to believe it was a mongoose. It ain't a damn mongoose. And we've just heard countless stories, a lot of this stuff that don't even get put like in the mainstream realm of Breezy in these house parties and the amount of drugs that are taking place. And that's his business. Whatever he wants to do with his life, that's on him. But the fact that nobody is stepping to this brother and saying, yo, my guy, you have a problem. You have a problem. People know, they won't say it. They know. You have a problem, sir. It's visible. At the bare minimum, you have a cocaine problem. Forget everything else. Even if this whole story was false, everyone knows it because everyone knows somebody in their life that either has used cocaine or been affected by cocaine, and you can look at Chris Brown's face and see he resembles all of those symptoms. This is ridiculous, man. It's tough to even read, let alone for this woman to have dealt with if this is true. The problem is there's probably no way she's gonna win. Maybe she's suing now, right? Maybe there is a way Chris Brown wants to cover this up and throw her some hush money. But I doubt he admits to his guilt or any part of in this situation. Between him and his friend, I just think I think it's very insensitive, right? After some of the things Chris Brown has been accused of, right? If I got accused of stuff and I've admitted to stuff, the rest of my life would be dedicated, and I'm not Chris Brown, I'm not in the public domain. I'm not saying I wouldn't have fun. I think the rest of my life would be dedicated to doing shit that doesn't put me in that position. Like, maybe you shouldn't be the guy, because you're a business and you're a brand, maybe you shouldn't be the guy with the cocaine and Molly at parties. I don't know if that should be your lane, because Chris Brown had Michael Jackson-like potential. I remember when people were saying that when he was 14, 15 years old, and I don't think it was far-fetched to throw that on him. The brother could sing and dance at an elite level, and still can sing and dance at an elite level. But I'm slowly watching Drake come in and steal that thunder, and I don't think Drake has Michael Jackson potential. Chris Brown had Michael Jackson potential. Drake doesn't have that, right? He can't dance, and he can't sing on this level, right? But Drake has definitely become this generation's guy on the male side, and that once was Chris Brown. And I want to say I am very sympathetic for this woman. If her claims are true, she is the victim here. And this is serious stuff. And I'm going to be honest with you, I just hope Chris Brown gets some help, man. Mr. Taliaferro TV, these allegations are very serious on my platform. Thank y'all for the time of support. I don't take it for granted. Chris Brown has been accused of being a part of a rape. And he used some friends to help out, is what this woman is claiming. She said this night was a nightmare. I'm out.
I want to salute you, homie, you know, for building your own thing and doing your own thing, creating your own platform, your own website.
I got one life to live out my dreams, and I'm giving this thing all I got. I interview celebrities. I talk sports. I represent the culture.
Right now, you're turning up on MrTaliaferro.com, shawty. Yeah.